It is extraordinary that the Premier of Queensland, who we showed a little bit earlier in the show, was out there telling everyone September of last year and then again this year, oh, we're going to increase the number of people in the exemptions unit. Reality, they've cut the people in the exemptions unit. They're very people who are there to facilitate the people who want to be reconnected with their families.
It's so sad, and it just shows you that everything is about a headline. How can they manage the media cycle in that moment? And if it takes to say, we're going to increase the size of it just to take the pressure off, they'll do it, but they don't follow through. And we've got a government in Queensland that's more obsessed with how things look than how they are. And there remains thousands of Queenslanders stuck on the other side of the border that can't get the treatment they deserve from the exemption unit. And it's only when the media spotlight and when the opposition raises it in question time that the exemption unit operates the way it should. And that is a crying shame.
Well, and it's this thing where do you think that this has started to be noticed by normal people, the same people who were sort of, thanks for keeping us safe last year, frankly, the people on the sunny coast who changed their vote last time. Do you think that people are starting to see this? Because, look, it's a pretty thick wall you've got to try to drill through at the 6 p.m. news. They kind of run whatever the government line is of the day or the government distraction. But surely normal people see this for what they are.
Paul, there's been two events that in my mind have changed the paradigm. One was a few weeks ago when they were seeing the big wall put up for normal families, but sporting families and footballing wives were coming in. That's when the needle started to move. And in recent days, seeing the vision, the reunion of people from across the globe, and to know that we have people on the other side of the border. And we've raised some incredible examples. The issue of Grant, who was the chef on the other side of the border going through such mental health anguish, and it wasn't until the member for Kawana, Jared Blay, raised it in the floor of the House that it got changed. But I just want to give you an example, Paul, to show just how pig-headed and just how wrong this idea is of an exemption unit that will not bring the common into common sense. Now, I've got a constituent who lives in the Gold Coast. He is 10 minutes from the border, living in his car, and he could drive home in less than an hour and quarantine for 14 days, everyone would be safe. Wouldn't have to stop the car. Instead, the exemption unit wants him to get to Sydney, hop in a plane with a few hundred other people, fly to Brisbane, get out of that plane, go through all the airport, jump in a car, go to his house on the Gold Coast, and then get a truck driver to take his car back to him on the Gold Coast. Now, apparently, that is safer than him driving 50 minutes back home. Now, I'm sorry, no fair-minded person could look at that and say that is the safer option. Now, it might be politically safer. It might be the ability to say, I'm the leader, I'm the Führer, keeping people safe. But that's not the way it truly is. If you look at it, leadership is about doing what is right. And you can keep your community safe and you can still have a heart and you can still conduct yourself with compassion.
Well, and New South Wales is 4 days away from 90% double dose vaccination. And I just checked, there are 3 active cases in the local government area of Tweed. So the very person who would be coming is presumably double vaxxed, coming from an area that has just 3 cases, that will be going nowhere other than their own home, yet computer says no.
Yeah, pretty sad scenario, isn't it?
But well, I mean,
in the case of...
Sorry, mate. There are also people who, we've been talking to families on the show that, packed up, were ready to move. They were literally going to fly the next day. And then there was the stunt about hotel quarantine is full, so they could go out to Wellcamp to sort of fight with the federal government. And they were basically thrown to the back of the queue. And they are part of that group on top of Queenslanders. They're sort of the future Queenslanders that are just sitting in limbo. And again, this never made sense. But if it made sense, it was last year, not now.
Yeah, the mood's changing and it's changing hard. And every morning I arrive at work and there's a flood of emails, there's calls. And it started with just the odd email about the person saying, I voted for them last time, not so sure about that. We're now getting people saying, I've been a lifelong Labor voter. My daughter went to Sydney to bury her father-in-law and she can't come home. And I'm seeing these images of sporting wives beside the pool, and now the more recent ones, I'm seeing images of loved ones reconnecting interstate. And I'm just wondering whether or not this is about keeping the community safe or if it's about electoral safety. And we're just going to keep pushing the point, not because that's what the polling says to do, but that's what's right. And in the end, if you can't find a way to reunite people who live in your state, and if you can't safely in time find a way for people who want to migrate to make a contribution to your state, well, you're not much of a leader at all. So don't know what the polling says, not interested in it, but I'm going to stand up for everyday Queenslanders because that's the right thing to do.
No, I'm with you completely. Thank you so much, David, and good on you for doing so.